61, Connecticut's news station. This is a special report.
Good afternoon. We're interrupting your regular programming to bring you our live coverage of the funeral of Governor Jodi Rell. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Bridget Bjorlo. Rell's body lay in state at the Capitol today, where people said their final goodbyes. Rell was 78 years old when she died on November 20th. Her family said she passed away at a Florida hospital after a brief illness.
Now, people across the state have paid tribute to Rell. They said she was dedicated to bipartisanship as governor, which she served from 2004 to 2011. She was the second woman to serve as governor here in our state. We have live team coverage now. Our Matt Karen is live at the Cathedral of St. Joseph, where services will take place. But we begin with Emma Wolfhorst, who has been outside the state capitol today. Emma?
Well, Brent, Bridget, it might look calm here now, but just a few minutes ago, they transported former Governor Rell's body out of the Capitol and processed her over to the church. And as we were speaking with people here today, it's really hard to find someone without something to say about the former governor. Those I spoke with say she will be missed greatly, talking about the really large hole that she leaves in political life here in Connecticut. She started in the State House of Representatives, serving there for a decade, starting back in 1985. She was then lieutenant governor on John Rowland's Republican ticket, but had to take over after Rowland was federally investigated, eventually serving prison time. Rell was only the second woman governor here in Connecticut, leading the state from 2004 to 2011. She described her job over those years as restoring honor to Connecticut and public faith in government, a legacy state officials say lives on.
Is I do believe that our residents in Connecticut feel better about the state legislature because of what Governor Rell did. You know, it was very important to her to clean up government, to bring in the citizens election program for our campaigns, to get out all the special interest money. And it wasn't so much, to me, it didn't just sort of clean up the system, but she wanted to restore people's faith in government.
She was not someone that was partisan, and she always worked well with both sides of the aisle. Public service was about helping others, and it wasn't about scoring political points for her ever.
Rell was also Connecticut's last Republican governor and spent the rest of her life inspiring political involvement and promoting work across the aisle, especially through the University of Hartford's Jodi Rell Center for Public Service. And those I spoke with today say this bipartisan legacy is really going to live on, say it's alive and well in the state legislature today, and say that she will be greatly, greatly missed here in Connecticut. Reporting live at the state capitol, Emma Wolfhorst, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Emma, thank you. State leaders and lawmakers, of course, are not the only ones who are remembering Governor Jodi Rell today.
Friends, family, and people from across the state reflected today on who she was as a person and her contributions to Connecticut. Fox 61's Matt Karen is live at the Cathedral of St. Joseph here in Hartford, where a funeral for the former governor is about to take place. Matt.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Jodi Rell, she wasn't just a governor, a Republican, a politician. It actually sums it up pretty well right under the portrait on her funeral program. A woman of grace, strength, and character. That's the legacy of Jodi Rell. She was also a mother, a grandmother, a kind-hearted person who cared a lot about civility and humanity. And those who I spoke with today told me that Governor Rell was a much different political figure than the type of people who we see today. She truly believed in the mission of public service. Rell rose to power in the wake of scandal following the resignation of former Governor John Rowland, and she did so with a steady hand and a kind demeanor. She helped heal a wounded state and unite a fractured legislature, and did so with the grace and dignity that Jodi Rell was known for. She did all that while battling breast cancer, which she eventually did beat. Now, Governor Lamont, who's one of the people delivering a eulogy here at the funeral services today, said that Jodi was, quote, calm, rational, caring, approachable, and devoted to her family and to her state. Now, despite being popular and decisively getting reelected, Governor Rell quickly accomplished her political mission. So she stepped away from public life at the height of her career to focus on a personal mission of being a mother and grandmother, passing along her passion for public service to her son, Mike, who went on to become the mayor of Wethersfield. Jodi Rell was rather a longtime Brookfield resident. She retired to Florida, was 78 years old. Today, I caught up with her son, Mike Rell, and asked him, what did Governor Rell mean to Connecticut, and what did Mom mean to him?
What did Mom mean to me? I think to the residents of the state of Connecticut at the time, she was everybody's mother. She kind of came in with a gentle hand, and said, it will be all right. We can take care of this. There'll be some bumps along the way. But as any mother does, she brings people together to be able to, work out everybody's differences and console the state. And that's exactly what she did at the right time. She knew exactly when to retire, and she could have stayed on for a while, but because she had a growing family with 4 young grandchildren, that's what she was. She was a mother, and she was a grandmother, and she adored her grandkids, sometimes more than she adored her own kids, but that's what all grandmothers do.
Now, today's funeral service here at the Cathedral of St. Joseph will be followed by a private burial at the State Veterans Cemetery over in Middletown. The family is asking that in lieu of flowers, if you'd like to remember Jodi Rell, consider a donation to her foundation, which is the Governor M. Jodi Rell Center for Public Service. It's at the University of Hartford, or you can also send in a remembrance or donation to the Fidelco Guide Dog Foundation. We will, of course, be streaming the funeral services for you on Fox 61. We're going to have complete coverage coming up on our news tonight at 5 and 6 o'clock. For now, we're live in front of the Cathedral of St. Joseph in Hartford. Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
What a legacy. Matt, thank you.
And just to pick up where Mike Rell just left off in his interview with Matt, Governor Rell was, of course, a historic state leader, a respected political figure, powerful, got things done, but it's how she led that she will always be remembered for.
And we've spoken to many state leaders over the last 2 weeks who all share the same sentiment. The Governor Rell was a person who put people over politics.
Our state lost a trailblazing female leader.
I love what she stood for, but I love her as a human being and as a person. She did not run around as a Republican. I didn't run around as a Democrat. We ran around as friends.
She was a classic moderate Connecticut politician, and I think that goes true for the silent majority, the people in the middle. She was very good at that.
We really tried to work across the aisle for the best interests of the people in Connecticut, and I think that reflects the fact she's a good person.
She was always thoughtful. She was always careful what she said, and she brought out the best in people. She wasn't a partisan. The state came ahead of party politics, which is something kind of unique in today's age. But that's what she did, and that's what all politicians should do.
Governor Rell had sort of that maternal style of governing, and I think it's why the state of Connecticut embraced her so much, and she just had such a high approval ratings in the state of Connecticut. She talked about how she sort of felt that she was the mother of the Senate and held people in line. She had a certain grace about her when she did her job.
In a day of bombastic politicians and whoever the loudest in the room is tends to win, she was the exact opposite. She was civil, she was calm, and I think she really was a steady hand for Connecticut at an important time.
Missed that type of politician today. As a matter of fact, Governor Jodi Rell served as governor from 2004 to 2011. And for 5 of those years, one of our Fox 61 colleagues served on the governor's security detail.
Retired Connecticut State Trooper Kelly Grant joins us now. And Kelly, you were on her detail from 04 to 09. What was your experience like? Who was she as a person?
Those are like huge questions, both of them. She was an amazing person. Everything everybody is saying about her couldn't be more true. I guess guess I can start with, I had been with her for just about 5 years when I suffered a medical emergency at the governor's residence early one morning. And when the other trooper that I was working with called to let her know, don't be alarmed, an ambulance is coming, everything's all right, she jumped out of the shower, threw on some clothes, hair soaking wet, and stood down there with me until the ambulance, took me away.
Which had to mean a lot to you, because what that means is she cared about you on her security detail, but you weren't just a staff member to her. Yeah.
Right. She was just such a nice, pleasant person to everybody. We'd be in stores. She'd stop and talk to people, whether they were being nice to her or not. She was always very pleasant with everybody, took the time to speak with them.
You've been regaling us with stories this morning in the newsroom about your time with her, and I think most of those we could probably tell on the air here. Just tell us another fun story, interesting story that reveals who she was.
Sure. Just going back to that grandmother, making sure that everybody's okay, making sure that everybody's happy. We were in Canada for a governor's convention, and she had needed something from her room, so just she and I jumped in the elevator, making our way back up. And just to back up for a second, at these conventions, obviously you have governors from all over the U.S. and the U.S. territory, so you have law enforcement from all over the U.S. and the U.S. territories. So, and the majority of them are men. It's law enforcement. So we're going up in the elevator, and she says, so, like, are you meeting anybody? Are you meeting any men?
Oh,
and she was very concerned. Yes, she was very concerned about my social life. You're not married yet. You don't have children. Let's get you married. Let's find somebody. And she's like, I can marry you. I mean, I'm a justice of the peace.
That would have been so cool.
Yes,
wow.
yes. So she was very, very much your mother. Yeah. Very much your grandmother. Absolutely.
It's interesting. I want to ask you this, and I actually don't know if you'll have an answer or not. It's okay if you don't. But the thing is that we've been using those words. She was the state's mom, and she was calm, and she was gracious, and she was all these things we've been talking about. She was also a very effective governor, very effective politician, got things done. She was always thinking about people, and she pushed a lot of legislation through, and she made things happen as governor. And I'm just wondering if there were times when you saw that
grit.
More serious, that grit, good word, that grit.
Not to the point where you were like, oh boy, we're all in trouble now. But she definitely had that stern, her stern demeanor did come out when it was necessary. And I had seen her, we're with her 24 hours a day, long car rides. So we're, listening to conversations, listening to her speak with members of the media, other politicians. And she was very good at what she did. She was everybody's mother and grandmother, but when it was time to put her foot down, she did put her foot down, just like your mother would.
She had that steady hand.
She did. She absolutely did.
That command presence, and she rose to power at a very time of turmoil.
Yes. Yes.
And do you think that a calmness she exuded was really right for the moment? Was she the leader for the time?
Absolutely. I didn't join her detail until a few months after she had become governor. So I didn't really see that transition. I didn't see what she was like prior to that. But definitely that calm demeanor that she had, making you feel comfortable, making you feel like you were special, I'm sure definitely helped.
Any security detail is going to be made up of professionals, and professionals are going to do their job. So I don't mean to insinuate that anybody wouldn't. But I'm wondering if, because of the kind of person she was, if she inspired maybe just a bit more loyalty than maybe a lot of politicians in that position would.
Right. Yeah. No, I would agree with that. Again, just the person that she was brought out a different person in yourself, and because she did treat everybody fairly and pleasantly, that yes, I think there was a lot of loyalty there.
Okay, and just so everybody understands, because we just kind of jumped right into this. You were on the state police force,
correct?
And before you came to work for us, you were a spokesperson for the state police.
Correct.
We interviewed you daily, and so did everybody else.
We're so lucky to have her.
You retired from the state police, and you came over here. So that's the connection.
Correct.
You were on a security detail. You were with the state police. You came to work for us after, I'm assuming, you retired from the state
Shortly
police.
after, yes.
Okay, and so that's the connection there. That's how she wound up here. We're glad to have her. Interesting stuff, Kelly. We appreciate you coming out here and sharing some stories.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so yeah, so again, 7 years as governor, but nearly 3 decades total in public service here in Connecticut.
And when she took office in 2004, then Governor John Rowland was under federal investigation. It was that tumultuous time. But despite all that, she led the state, as we've been talking about, with so much grace and compassion. We spoke to state leaders today about her many lasting accomplishments.
Remember somebody who came in at a complicated time and righted the ship? Somebody who represented the very best values of the state of Connecticut, and somebody who was a really good person.
She restored the public trust in and brought stability to our state government.
The office was marred with scandal, and she had to come in and really sort of clean it up. And she created the Citizens Election Program, a lot of election reforms, took lobbyist money and special interest money out of politics in the state of Connecticut. That was a huge legacy that we still see to this day.
Clean campaigns, expanding daycare, expanding Medicaid, always thinking about families. She was at the forefront of a lot of these things.
I think a lot of the things that she was involved in about unlimited debate, the tradition we have, the bipartisanship, it still exists today in 2024 in Connecticut. So we sort of stand on the people that came before us and the legacy they left, and she was able to be powerful but civil, and that's a really good lesson, I think, in politics.
I could see a leader as a woman in a really powerful and important place doing things, and that allowed me to believe that that could be my role. And so for that, I will always be grateful to the governor.
Yeah, a very special person, of course. And as I was talking about earlier when we had Kelly over here, you know, you could tell when you were around Jodi Rell that she was thinking and that she was serious. She wasn't Mrs. Doubtfire, you know. She was, in fact, you could tell that she was a serious person, but she was a very gracious person, and she was a very calm person. And the thing about it was that at the time, what was so important and what made her so perfect for the job at the time was that you just could not imagine Jodi Rell doing anything shady in office. She was eminently credible and trustworthy, and when you were around her, I think everybody trusted her. Everybody had confidence in her. Nobody was suspicious of her, and so, you know, people said, you go, you know, take it over and let's rework all of this and let's get back on track. And I think the whole state government worked together in that way.
And that's why she's being credited for restoring that public trust in the wake of scandal.
Yeah, yeah, sure was. All right, so our Fox 61 political reporter, Emma Wolfhorst, has been outside the state capitol today, and she is standing by live. Emma, you out there?
I am, Brent.
There you go.
I heard you and Bridget talking about, you know, the importance of the loyalty that former Governor Rell had and the time that she came in turmoil. You're talking about it with Kelly as well. Something we've seen in the past few legislative sessions is really a big conversation about the state's fiscal guardrails. And a lot of the lawmakers I spoke with, specifically House Minority Leader Vincent Candelora, were telling me how a lot of Governor Rell's financial policy really laid the groundwork for what we see still today. It's really a blueprint for how the state legislature here in Connecticut works. And we're going into another budget session in the upcoming session starting in January. And they say they really want to take her memory and her legacy as a guideline into this next session when they're crafting the next 2-year budget for the state. Bridget, Brent.
All right, Emma, thank you. And the funeral of Governor Jodi Rell is now getting underway.
All right, let's take a listen.